Hello, everybody. We just got back from an incredibly long trip. Yesterday was a 12-hour drive on back-to-back 4 days of Longpoint, and of course a 12-hour drive to get up to Longpoint. So I'm sufficiently tired. It's been a really awesome weekend, a really good weekend. So I just wanted to talk through it. I took a lot of footage that will be intercutting with these conversations, but I wanted us to just talk about our respective experiences having gone to Longpoint. So this was my first time. This was Casey's first time. We knew some of what to expect. We didn't know all of what to expect. And so I figured we'd just talk through for people who've never been before so they can understand, so you, the viewers, can understand what exactly Longpoint is, because it's kind of hard to define sometimes. It's officially listed as a tournament.
And workshops.
But
it's basically a con.
It's a convention. It's certainly a chance for people to get together. And so throughout the next couple of weeks, probably, there'll be periodic videos I'll release on certain topics coming out of Longpoint. But I figured we'd actually kick it off with what I think is actually probably the most important topic, which isn't the tournament or the workshops or the vendors or all those type of things. But what it really came down to for me, and I think for you as well, is the people. And so to kind of kickstart that conversation, I wanted to first just say a huge thank you to Jake Norwood and his entire team, the ex-KDF people, for setting up Longpoint, for making it what it is, because that isn't possible without their incredibly hard work. And I think that group of people, as well as the instructors, they are kind of like the heart of HEMA, like the beating heart of HEMA. And the reason I say that is because what it really came down to is the people. And the people are kind of the lifeblood of HEMA as not organization, the right word, as a group of people with similar interests, because as a community. Thank you, community. And I think that above everything else, I think that was the most impressive thing that I got out of Longpoint, was just how solid of a community this really is.
You and I go to a lot of other conventions. I think people who have watched your channel have ever seen me in the couple of videos I'm in realize that I'm kind of really nerdy and I'm really into cosplay. So you and I go to conventions. That shouldn't surprise anyone. And one of the things that I love the most about going to conventions is that sense of community, that fact that you can walk into a place, sit in line for an hour surrounded by people you don't know, and you can just start up a conversation, and everyone is so friendly. Like, that's really the thing that I look forward to the most. The entire year I'm looking forward to Dragon Con. I'm already super excited about us going to Celebration next year. And having me being completely new to the HEMA community, I know you've been in it for a while, but I haven't. So I don't know anybody. Like, I know you, I know Aaron, kind of know Keith. I don't know anybody. I had no idea who Jake was. Didn't even know what KDF, the ex-KDF had. I think the last day we were there, I finally figured out what that meant and what that was about. So I really didn't know what to expect. You had a better idea of what I did, and I think I bugged you about that before we went, of what's gonna happen when we get there. But yeah, for all that I love that sense of community in every other convention I've gone to, I think HEMA actually topped it, or Longpoint topped that by like well over what I've ever experienced before. Everybody is so friendly. All of them want to kill you, but all of them want to be your best friend too. And it was really, really cool. It was actually way head and tails above anything I've experienced before. And I was telling TJ as we were coming home that, I'm interested in HEMA and I'm interested in swordplay. Before we ever went, I wouldn't have gone if I hadn't been interested. But now having been, I'm really genuinely excited because the people are so cool. And I want to be part of that now.
Yeah, there's this really odd sense of camaraderie that comes from it. I think we actually get insight a little bit into, like, thinking back in the day, the knights and the chivalric code. And I mean, we all know the historical aspects of those aren't always so fairy book, but the idea that everyone has this kind of sense of honor and they really want to go out there. It's really strange when someone comes up to you and say, "Hey, I watch your channel, I'm so-and-so," and when you start talking, they're like, "Great, I want to fight you. Let's get out there and fight," right? Great fight I had Thank you. It was a great fight. But it's like they're going to go out there and they're going to use steel and they're going to wail on each other. You got a protective padding. You're protected, but it's still going to hurt a bit. But once that's done, they're hugging and they're like cheering each other on, and there is no love lost between anyone in that fight. And I think that's really incredible.
And nobody was a sore loser.
No.
Like, I didn't notice anyone after losing a bout, like, throwing their helmet down and stomping off angry. Like, everybody was genuinely like, yes, you beat me. That was awesome. I'm going to get better and kick your ass next time.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was just very, very excited, passionate.
And also the level of sportsmanship that we would see. And we're going to, tournaments are going to be a thing we're going to talk about later. When we're talking about the people in the tournaments are really impressive. We watch people get in a really good score. If you don't know how HEMA stuff is scored, you can go look it up. There's a ton of information out there. You just have to go look for it. But they'll get the points, and then they'll back off and they'll say, judges, I refuse the point because that person hit me and you didn't notice it, right? It didn't get called. Because this isn't like sport fencing where you have the electronic game of tag where all it really matters is you get the one person gets the point a little bit earlier. HEMA is definitely built around this concept, or at least the tournaments are built around the concept of you can't have two people winning. It's win lose. Win is really lose lose. And so people say, no, I got hit. That doesn't count, and they would actually recuse themselves of that point. They would not. They would deny that point. And sometimes it would result in the person losing the match.
We watched that happen a couple times.
And sometimes it would result in the person still winning the match. But they don't know which way that match is going to go. But it was all about fairness. And this is a tournament where there are prizes at the end, right? When you get to sit down and watch people get an Albion sword as a prize for winning longsword competition. It matters. There is a prize at the end of that rainbow, as it were, but people don't care because it's not about that. It's about getting together as a group, trying to understand the source material, trying to recreate this martial art, and do it right. And I think that is just incredibly impressive. And I think that goes for everyone who was there, both the guys and the girls, right? Really incredible group of people.
And you were talking about the historical understanding of things that were going on. It wasn't only just the matches that were going on. We actually went to a couple of lectures where people were talking about the historical aspect of it. We went to one that was a presentation of the Wichtenhauer.
Michael Chittister. So yes. Another, and this is also the great thing is you're bumping elbows with these big name people in HEMA. I mean, outside world doesn't know who he is, but if you're in HEMA regularly at all, or you use the Wichtenauer at all, that name should be very familiar.
But that was just very cool to me too, the fact that it's not only just we're hitting people with swords, it was also a focus on the scholarly aspects behind the historical pursuits.
And having those conversations, like you said, you're sitting down, you're waiting for something, you begin a conversation. You can then have a conversation about what does this translation mean to you, and how does this apply in this situation, and people begin to talk about it, and they all pull out their faders and they start working through it together, and they don't know each other's names even. They just met, and they're already beginning to have those conversations. That's some really cool stuff. I mean, it's an incredible experience just going there, just strictly for the people. And I think that you can't get that really anywhere else, really at all. I know you had said that you were a little bit worried, or you were a little bit like on the fence about how this was going to work in a sport, as it were, a martial arts, a thing that as a community is overly dominated by guys.
Yeah, I was a little worried. Like I said earlier, I've gone to a lot of conventions, and you go to Dragon Con, you go to Celebration. There's more guys there than there are girls. And I'd say 99% of everyone you meet and every interaction you're going to have with a person is going to be awesome. But there is a small undercurrent of crap stuff that happens, and it's usually, some guy with a selfie stick is taking a shot up girls' skirts, or I've had people cuss me out because I wouldn't let them take my picture. I've had drunk guys glomp onto me and then get mad at me when I try to pull away. Like, it's a very, very small aspect of what happens when you go to these conventions where there's a lot more men than there are women, but it does happen. And I can't say that I was scared of it because I wasn't, but it did occur to me, because every time you and I have gone and visited other HEMA clubs, there's always one woman and a lot of guys. Every club we've gone to has been that way, has it not?
I think it has, although I do believe that the Fry Factor group in Atlanta actually has more now.
I think they have more, but yep. But so I was really aware of that going into Longpoint. I was like, there's going to be, not only is this going to be way more male-dominated than anything I've been to before, but all of these guys are going to be, if not athletic, they're going to know how to fight. They're all going to be armed, and there's going to be alcohol. So I definitely had it in my head that, okay, maybe some of this kind of crap is going to happen. But you know what? It never did. I never had a single moment where I felt like, oh, this guy's being creepy. I never had a single interaction with anyone where I felt like, oh, they're treating me like a girl and kind of condescending to me. Like, I never felt like anyone was like, oh, you're not really here for the longsword, so I'm not really going to pay attention to you. Like, I never felt like anyone was patronizing me. I never felt like anyone was being inappropriate. I genuinely felt like everybody was just treating me like a normal person. Some of them even, I think, kind of treated me like I knew more than I actually did because I don't know anything yet. But it was really awesome. I was sincerely very impressed. Because I don't know if you noticed this, but I kind of made it a point to stick by your side on the first day and not wander off by myself. And then by the last day, I think you got a little frustrated with me
couldn't never find you
because I kept wandering off by myself.
And certainly, the first day we were trying to get a feel for what was going on, but by the end of it, you were taking a class, I was going and visiting another class or lecture or something, so we were splitting off and doing things that we had interest in. But yeah, I really, I can't stress enough how amazing of a community this really, when it really comes down to it, this is probably one of the single best communities that's out there. And that's saying a lot, because there are a lot of really awesome communities out there, but those undercurrents don't seem to exist. I think the kind of gender divide thing, maybe it's just all the guys are afraid because we've all taught the ladies how to defend themselves and how to fight, and we know that, they'll take us down in a heartbeat. No, but it really is like, again, it goes back to that camaraderie, and it doesn't get broken because of gender lines or race lines or anything like that, which is good because it shouldn't. Nothing in the world should, but it does, unfortunately. And I think that that's extremely progressive within this community, which is so funny for something that you would say is medieval. So anyway, we are going to have many more videos to come as we talk through these things. It'll all be intercut with a lot of clips from HEMA, or from Longpoint, and we will see you in the next couple of videos as we talk through this stuff. So until next time.